Good evening, everyone. It is 6 o'clock. So the work session for mayor and council for September 16th is called to order. Ms. Hood, can we have a roll call, please?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Butler,
Good
council
evening.
members and city manager. This is the roll call for September the 16th, 2024. Mayor Butler,
Present.
Councilmember James. Let the record reflect that Councilmember James is not in attendance. Councilmember Anton,
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Councilmember Gutierrez,
Present.
Councilmember Akins Wells,
Here.
Councilmember Mears.
Here.
Mayor Butler, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. The adoption of tonight's consent agenda. Is there anything that the council desires to have added or removed from tonight's consent agenda?
None right here, Mayor.
None.
All right, so is there a motion to adopt tonight's consent agenda?
So move.
That was Councilman Antoine. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Mears. All right, roll call, please. For the vote.
Councilmember James, Councilmember Anton.
Yes.
Councilmember Gutierrez,
Yes.
Councilmember Akins Wells,
Yes.
Councilmember Mears.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, tonight's agenda. Is there anything that the council desires to have added or removed from tonight's agenda?
It's good to meet, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So move.
That was Councilman Mears. Is there a second?
Second
That
that.
was Councilwoman Wells. Is there any discussion?
No, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Hood.
Councilmember James, Councilmember Anton.
Yes.
Councilmember Gutierrez,
Yes.
Councilmember Akins Wells,
Yes.
Councilmember Mears.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So tonight's consent agenda, item 1, council discussion on the request for blanket purchase order. And then item 2, council discussion on the purchase of firefighter uniforms from a cooperative agreement with Reed's Uniforms LLC. Is there a motion to approve, tonight's consent agenda items?
From, I approve that. I so move.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Councilman Mears. All in favor? All right, thank you very much. So on to new items. Council discussion on a budget amendment for all fund to conclude year end. Background and history. The City of Forest Park's fiscal year 23-24 operating budget was unanimously adopted by the City Council on June 29th, 2023. Prior to the adoption of the budget, City staff advised that funding and revenues would continuously be monitored for accuracy and reporting purposes. Staff is recommending that the understated funds be added to the operating budget for general fund, special funds, capital funds, city authorities, and sanitation year-end closure procedure for the annual audit, which will increase or decrease the current revenues to amend the increase or decrease of expenditures. So good evening, Mr. Wiggins.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good
Evening.
Finance coming before you to recommend on this agenda item, budget amendments for all funds to conclude our year end. What you have before you are the general fund tables. You also have special fund tables. You also have the city authority tables as well as capital fund tables. With those particular tables, they showed the amended budget that we're asking for you to adopt. And at this time, we ask that you move forward in adopting the budget amendment. We can close out the 23-24 year end.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments, Councilwoman James?
Approve,
Councilman Antoine?
approve that.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
We're not voting. Councilwoman Wells is discussion.
No.
Councilman Mears. Item 4, council discussion on the recommended proposed millage rate. Background and history. The City of Forest Park has tentatively adopted a 2024 millage rate, which will require an increase in property tax by 1.57% due to property values increasing. Even though the City of Forest Park proposes to keep the millage rate at 16.74 mils, the increase in property values results in a property tax increase. This tentative increase will result in a millage rate of 16.74 mils, an increase of 1.57%. Without this tentative increase, the millage rate will be no more than 2.6 mils. The proposed tax increase for a home with a fair market value of $100,000 is approximately $10.40. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm here to present the 2024 City of Forest Park millage rate presentation. The presentation includes 3 slides. First slide. Slide 1 gives you an overview of the millage rate. The millage rate is a tax rate that is applied to the assessed value of taxable property to calculate the amount of property tax to be paid. The millage rate of 1 mil is $1 per thousand of an assessed value. For calculation purposes, the millage rate is stated as 0.001. The millage rate is established by the levying authority each year, which is the City of Forest Park. Slide 2. Slide 2 is the current 2024 property tax digest and the 5-year history of the taxes, showing a slight increase in property taxes. Slide 3 is the notice that is sent to the Clayton News of the millage rate, which we propose at 16.74 mils, and the increase in property values, which resulted in a property tax increase. And with that, that concludes our presentation for the millage rate.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman James, any questions or comments? Councilman Antoine?
No, Mayor.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
No.
And Councilman Mears? Thank you. Council discussion on the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship.
We move on. So per the notice, there's supposed to be a public hearing during work session as well as regular session
We did one at 5 o'clock.
at 5 p.m.
Mhm.
Okay, I was just confirming because that's at 6.
The final public hearing, I believe, is on the regular agenda for
Yes.
tonight.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Item 5, council discussion on the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Grant pre-application request. Background and history. Staff requests approval to pre-apply for the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Grant Program. This program supports projects that acquire, improve, and maintain local parks and trails. The minimum grant amount is $500,000 with a required match at 25%. The grant term is 2 years.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council.
Good evening.
And City Manager Clark. Staff is requesting approval to pre-apply for the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Grant Program. If awarded, the funds can be used for improvements to Star Park as well as Bill Lee Park. In order to apply for this particular grant, we have to submit a resolution, and that is what staff is requesting to submit with the pre-application.
Thank you, Councilwoman James.
Is this a 100% grant, or do we have to contribute funds to?
We're paying 25% and they will pay the rest of the balance.
Okay.
Councilman Antoine?
No question.
Councilman Gutierrez?
I'm done. Were you done, Councilwoman James? Why is it only Bill Lee and the main park, Star Park?
Well, I just listed the two that were listed in our LCI program. However, if we have additional programs or projects that need funding, you'd be able to use the funding as long as it's some type of park or public.
Okay, I would like my park on there if we could, Ricky.
Raggedy. That would be theater.
I'm sorry.
Theater Park.
Yes, that's fine.
Councilwoman
Definitely
Wells?
add it, not a-
Same as Councilman Gutierrez. Thank you.
And I will state any and all parks within the city that need improvements.
Thank you.
Councilman Mears. All right, thank you. Item 6, council discussion on the planning, community development updates and 6-month strategic plan overview. Background and history. The Planning and Community Development Director will give an overview of the procedural changes made in the department and will review the projects that will take place over the next 6 months.
Okay. Good evening once again. I'm just here to present some of the procedural and operational changes that have taken place in the Planning and Community Development Department, as well as reviewing the 6-month strategic plan. So some of the changes that have been made in line with our operational efficiency initiative are the development of the development review process, which starts from pre-development till the time that you apply for your LDP permit. We've also established some new workflows, including timeframes for business licensing, building permits, as well as zoning verifications. The workflows outline the time that it should take each reviewing staff member to review and conduct their reviews in order to move the permit forward. We've also set up weekly development and pre-permitting meeting options for applicants so that they can come in and speak to the various agencies and departments that will be reviewing their particular application or permit request. As part of our one-stop shop initiative, business licensing as well as the police department licensing technician have been moved over to the Planning and Community Development Department to better serve and accommodate our customers. Shifting over to the 6-month strategic plan for the department, there are a number of projects that staff will be working on, starting with text amendments. In order to provide clarity within the ordinance and to provide some updates to our ordinance, we currently have 10 amendments that we'll be proposing amendments to that will run from October through January 2025. As part of our community information and outreach programs, we will be hosting a Permitting 101 workshop in January and developing brochures and information that could be used by the public in September. We will also be hosting a Donuts and Development with the building official and pastries and planning events with the planning department in October and in January 2025. Staff will also be working on park improvement plans for all parks within the city. These plan improvements include small-scale design improvements that can be done quickly, and the plans also include improvements to playgrounds, playground equipment, landscaping, fitness, and considering an outdoor fitness area. These projects will begin at the end of this month throughout the year. We would also like to set up a wayfinding signage program where we provide directions to key city locations in addition to landmarks, as well as a city mural program where we'd be able to encourage art throughout the community. These projects will begin in October, November through January 2025. And finally, we will be continuing our work with Tyler in establishing an online permitting system. We're trying to move the project forward as quickly as possible so that we can get all online permitting activities up and running as soon as possible. That concludes my presentation. I'm available if you have any more questions.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman James.
Thank you. I think this is great. And it allows our community to really get involved. I also want to ask, Mr. Clark, I know we had a mural committee, I believe it was named, and I don't know if we've ever gotten, if that was established correctly, or I know we have members of the mural committee and we did a resolution, but just want to get an update on that as well.
You know, Councilwoman James, the committee has not met since I've been here. I was not aware that there was a resolution that established it, but give me some time and I'll see what the city clerk can find on first who those members are. And if need be, we'll bring back an ordinance before this body to actually put that committee within our code of ordinances.
Thank you. That's all.
Councilman Antoine.
Yes, so if I was one that got all this information tonight, I'd be able to get this information again.
I'm sorry, say it again.
If I was one that forgot this information tonight, how would I get this again?
Basically, the information, we can put updates on the website. In addition, we are planning on doing brochures and some type of newsletter type of information. So we will try and put it out in social media as well as online, just giving the community an update with regards to potential projects that may be coming.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Oh, just thank you for all this. These are great initiatives for our city, and I'm just happy that that this is happening. And again, I think with the question about the art committee, I really want to involve our people in the, just the selection. This is everybody's city, so I think they might have some great input on the art or even the type of equipment that we bring for the parks, because different parks attract maybe different populations, so we can make sure that we have something for everybody. But thank you again for your hard work. It is appreciated.
Mayor Butler,
Yes, sir.
if you will, I think specifically, you'll recall, we've updated all of the playground equipment in all of our parks with the exception of Star Park. So the focus of this will be what additional equipment are we able to leverage at the parks, landscaping, et cetera, especially with the outdoor fitness space that Ms. Dozier spoke about, because the only area right now that we have the outdoor equipment is at Star Park, and it's heavily used every day.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wells
Thank you so much.
and Councilman Mears.
Thank
All right, thank you. All right, that concludes the work session for tonight.
No order,
Yes,
Madam
ma'am.
Mayor. I apologize for being late, but there is an item on the consent. No, there is an item on the consent agenda that I have questions about. So I'm not sure how to appropriately have that item not on the consent agenda, and it was a question about the uniforms.
Well, we already voted for the consent agenda, so someone could either rescind their motion and we could redo it and remove it, or it's on the the regular session, so we could remove it from the regular meeting, a regular agenda, and then take it off there if that vote passes.
Okay, perfect.
So is there a motion to recess to go into executive session for personnel, litigation, real estate, or legal matters?
So move.
That was Councilwoman James, second by Councilman Mears. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And we shall return.